Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Have you ever stood at a cafe counter watching a barista work their absolute magic and wondered exactly how they transform a simple shot of espresso and some milk into a literal work of art? Well, today we're going to unlock the everyday mystery of those identical-looking coffee cups getting slid across the counter. We're exploring the fascinating journey from mystery to mastery, breaking down exactly how baristas craft the perfect latte art, and as you'll see, we'll find out why one very specific type of coffee drink is their ultimate canvas, while another, well, it completely rejects it. Imagine this scenario. You and a friend order 2 milk-based coffees. The barista sets down 2 identical cups right in front of you. One's a latte and one's a cappuccino. Can you tell the difference just by looking at them? If you're hesitating right now, hey, don't worry, you are in great company. This is actually an incredibly common challenge in the coffee community. A lot of modern coffee shops serve both the latte and the cappuccino in the exact same sized cup. Because they look so identical on the surface, beginner baristas, home brewers, and daily coffee lovers alike often stare at these 2 drinks and have absolutely no idea which one is which. So how do we solve this? Well, there's a brilliant beginner barista's trick that solves the mystery instantly, and it's called the spoon test. If you can't tell them apart visually, you literally just take a spoon and scoop the top of the drink to reveal the truth. If you scoop and find a thick, airy mountain of foam, like so thick that you could practically eat it right off the spoon, you've found the cappuccino. On the flip side, if you scoop the top and there's almost no foam, just a light, creamy, wet top layer, you're definitely looking at the latte. It's a completely foolproof physical test. All right, section 1, dissecting the coffee ratios. Let's look at cup sizes and espresso to see where this physical difference actually begins. For a traditional experience, a cappuccino should actually be served in a smaller 6 to 8 ounce cup. A cappuccino is built on these rigid equal thirds. You have exactly 1 part espresso, 1 part steamed milk, and 1 part of that incredibly thick, scoopable foam. Because there's only 1 part of liquid milk mixing into the espresso, that roasted coffee flavor punches right through, creating a much stronger taste. But crucially for our barista, this heavy reliance on thick, stiff foam makes the cappuccino a pretty terrible canvas for pouring art. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast with the latte's anatomy. The latte throws those equal thirds right out the window. It needs room to stretch out in a larger 10-ounce cup. You still start with that 1 part of espresso, but now it's completely enveloped by 2 full parts of steamed milk, topped off with only the most minimal layer of foam. All of that extra liquid steamed milk actively mixes directly into the shot of espresso. This massive volume of milk dilutes the espresso's intensity, creating a much smoother, richer, and creamier overall texture. This dilution is the absolutely critical first step in preparing a liquid base that can actually hold intricate designs. Section 2, steaming the perfect canvas. Let's see how baristas prepare these distinct milk textures. Think of the espresso as the wooden frame of a painting and the steamed milk as the barista's artistic canvas. To get to that canvas, they lay down a flawless foundation on the espresso machine. It's a rapid-fire sequence of precision. Step 1, they grind exactly 20 grams of fresh coffee. Step 2, they carefully distribute those grounds and tamp them down to create a perfectly compact bed. Step 3, they extract that beautiful, rich shot of espresso, our wooden frame. And then we arrive at step 4, steaming the milk. This right here is the ultimate fork in the road where the preparation of a cappuccino and a latte completely diverge. Think about the deliberate technique required for the cappuccino. The barista uses a smaller milk jug and deliberately tears much more air into the milk early on. If you're standing in the cafe, you'll actually hear a distinct tearing sound as that air is aggressively whipped in to create that thick, airy foam. But compare that to the subtle, angled approach for the latte. Here, the barista adds significantly less air. Instead, they position the steam wand to create a rapid, spinning vortex inside the jug. This vortex intensely textures the milk, folding in microscopic bubbles at the ideal temperature to create an incredibly silky, smooth liquid. I want to pause and highlight this striking visual description from our sources because it perfectly captures what a barista is hunting for when they steam milk for a latte. Perfect microfoam looks like wet paint. If you have too much thick foam, trying to pour a latte art is going to be an impossible challenge. You absolutely need that glossy, shiny, wet paint consistency. That silky microfoam is the ultimate secret to a perfect latte canvas. Now we reach the execution phase. Section 3, creating the latte art. Now what's really interesting here is how the physical pouring mechanics completely shift based entirely on which of those 2 canvases we just created. For cappuccino, because the foam is so airy and thick, you emphatically do not mix it into the espresso right away. The barista actively swirls the espresso, tilts the cup, and carefully pours so that the thick foam completely floats and rests right on top. The ideal top of a cappuccino should actually stay a stark, clean white. The latte pour, however, demands dynamic movement. Because you have that glossy, wet paint microfoam, you aggressively swirl and pour the milk from higher up to mix it directly into the espresso. This lays down a nice, even, light brown base. Only after that base is perfectly mixed does the barista bring the jug close to the surface to finally pour and draw the white art on top. And because of those differing textures, the art capabilities of these drinks are just leagues apart. That thick, stiff foam of a cappuccino severely limits the barista's artistic freedom. Because the foam basically just plops on top, it's highly recommended to only attempt a very basic heart design, if anything at all. But the latte? The wet paint texture of the latte removes all limitations. It enables baristas to pour incredibly complex, multi-tiered designs. We're talking layered tulips, intricate leafy rosettas, and even detailed swans floating gracefully on the surface. Latte art is not just a parlor trick, it's a reflection of the drink's very chemistry. Section 4, Beyond the Beautiful Foam, looking at key drink differences. Let's rapidly summarize these key facts. When we compare the details, we see that because the latte has 2 full parts of milk sitting in a larger 10-ounce cup, it inherently carries more calories than the smaller, foam-heavy cappuccino. Furthermore, while neither drink is served with added sugar, the latte naturally tastes sweeter because it contains a much higher volume of natural milk sugars. This large, sweet, creamy profile makes the latte incredibly popular worldwide as the go-to base for flavored drinks. This is exactly where your Spanish lattes, mochas, and vanilla lattes come from. The cappuccino, with its strong espresso punch and dry foam, proudly remains a classic, unflavored Italian breakfast staple. We've explored the ratios, the steaming techniques, the pouring mechanics, and the undeniable magic of wet paint microfoam. We've taken the mystery out of those 2 identical cups. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you step up to a cafe counter, armed with the knowledge of exactly how these drinks are crafted, and how those milk textures completely change the flavor experience, which canvas will you choose to drink?